There's been major updates regarding image generation. We have Leonardo AI making amazing advances. We have Midjourney as the current king of image generation. And we have Ideogram as the to-go AI for image generation that involves text, whereas the other ones are not able to provide that. And we think that Ideogram is fantastic in that regard. Now, what do you consider interesting about these different technologies with image generation?
When we talk about image generation, there are different aspects when the user is trying to generate an image. Maybe it is for some artwork, or maybe something for their desktop background or something, or even for creating a logo or creating a sign. So the three competition, like the main competition you named, what I would say is that for generating artwork and generating images, which is like comical and 3D kind of thing.
Which one's better?
So I would say Leonardo AI.
Leonardo AI.
Leonardo AI is the one which I would go with for in this regard. And if you talk about logo generation and text generation and something to do with images which says something,
you'd say Ideogram.
Then I would say Ideogram, yeah.
Okay. If Leonardo AI is useful for artwork, and I agree with that because they make amazing images, and Ideogram is for logo generation, where would Midjourney fit in this? Because Midjourney is, in my opinion, the number one currently.
So I think the gap between the AIs is becoming thinner and thinner. Now we are able to differentiate between art generating AI and logo generating AI, but I think soon this AI will be like how Google and Bing are. Both are providing search engines and stuff. They are competition. They do absolutely everything similar, but we have an absolute leader as Google, and we have runner-up as Bing. So I think eventually it would be the same thing. Right now you can see that some AI are good for generating artwork and some are for logos, but eventually they would tweak their model in such way that, because ultimately it is not a person who's doing it. It is just you need to train the model and it will do that particular set of work.
Correct. And I will say there are features that Midjourney has that Leonardo and Ideogram do not have that does make it a very customizable image generation AI, which, for example, the in-painting feature, where you can select an area of the image and prompt it once again so that it can generate something more in line with what you want to generate. I think that's useful, okay? Leonardo has yet to do that, but Leonardo has another feature of its own which I think is particularly interesting. So if you have an image that you generated with Leonardo AI, and they have an editing feature where if you want to make the image bigger, it will fill the image with more of the image in terms of its background and what you would expect would be on the image. And it looks amazing. So for example, if you have an image of a girl in the jungle and you want to make the image bigger, it will increase the jungle itself. And that is a big deal because sometimes people want an image to meet a certain size requirement. Leonardo AI has you covered in that regard. And by the way, just so I can let our viewers know, we have a big update in terms of where image generation is going, and it is a very big deal. But I also wanted to mention these AIs, which are very notable. They're very significant, and they're definitely in the space to make some changes. But I appreciate each of these tools. I think that they're extremely useful. And this, I should probably let them know right away. There's been a major update from OpenAI. Their DALI version has been upgraded to DALI version 3. And this is slated to be launched within October. The features that this particular image generation AI has is amazing. We're talking about better Midjourney within ChatGPT. The fact that you can have a conversation with ChatGPT to make a better image is a big deal, because what that's essentially going to translate to is ChatGPT will literally create the prompt for you to get the image that you want. Now, RP, what do you think that is going to translate to in terms of a greater audience and increased usability?
Yeah, I think the usability factor would be increased and naturally the audience will be increased. The reason why I say that is because when I was checking out the DALI update, so what they did is you don't even have to be precise about your prompt. You can just type anything loosely and the chat GPT has that interpreter working and it will basically expand your prompt, whatever you set, into a more meaningful way, and then it will generate image on top of it.
Yes.
So all that work of writing a prompt, then using another AI to getting your prompt in more detail, and then putting it into the AI which would generate image.
Let me stop you right there. The reason why DALI 3 is such a big deal is because in the past, let's say I'm using Midjourney. If I'm using Midjourney and I want to create a good prompt to generate a good image, I would go to ChatGPT. ChatGPT would generate a prompt for me. I would then get that prompt, put it back into Midjourney in order to get the results. All that is gone. Now, directly on ChatGPT, you can have a conversation with ChatGPT about the kind of image that you want. You could literally talk to it and say the purpose of what that image is for, and it will craft a prompt that is perfect for the image that you want, or as close to perfect as possible. And the other thing is, this technology is improving over time at a rapid level. So the accuracy is already very high, but within 6 months' time, within a year's time, it's going to be near perfect in terms of the results. And that is honestly where I think the masses are going to start to adopt this technology, because currently we have enthusiasts of AI, we have people who are in the programming space that are interested in this, people who are well versed in machine learning, graphic artists, people who are dealing with images every day. But when we start to see a rollout of mass adoption, this is one of those core features that will make that difference. And to make things even more incredible, DALI version 3 includes excellent text generation. The fact that you'll be able to create an image with accurate and excellent looking text is amazing. I think that right there is one of the prime considerations for me to want to make a switch. I've been a Midjourney subscriber for some time. I want to give DALI 3 a shot. They've been under the radar with image generation, but they're coming out super strong. I haven't even talked about the other features. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think as I said before, the difference between the AI, different kind of AI, like one is for image generation, logo generation, one is for art generation, that distance is coming close, and you can see from this example, right?
It's getting really good.
It is
really
getting
good.
really good.
Yeah.
And it is really interesting you mentioned it, how easy it is. So if you see the introduction video of the DALI 3, you will see how easy it is to put your prompt and to get the result. Now this brings us interestingly to our first video, what we talked about.
We talked about a bunch of things.
Yeah, I will remind you particularly.
Remind me, yeah.
The thing about AI being more human and how it is a good factor.
Yes.
So again, coming back to that point, and I would really like to know the view of other people on that.
We'd love to know what you think. Do you think that the human element can be separated in some ways where it's beneficial for people who are more tech friendly or engineer based to deal with an AI that has less of that? Or do you feel that the human element is essential even at those levels? Tell us what you think.
And in addition to what you said, I would like to add, what do you guys think? Is it a good, what do you call it, good matrix to judge AI of how much it is human, or we should still go on with how accurate is the result. So let us know, guys. Your guys would
Please let us
your
know.
views would be really interesting to know.
Yeah, I think that when we get to the point where it's conversational, where we can basically just voice what we want and we have a result that is incredible, I see a lot of people saying yes to that. Like, I really think that when you can just, because Alexa, Siri, Cortana, all of these were attempts by really big companies to make a simulation of an AI accessible to the masses. And it wasn't really adoptable because it wasn't there yet. But when it is, when you're talking to your phone and your phone is actually able to understand you at a very significant level, where you can basically say, hey, I want you to paint me the Mona Lisa flying on a unicorn, and I want it to be in a pastel or oil painting, and it understands what you want and immediately produces it for you. I think at that moment, people will say, okay, this is really good. But let me mention another feature that DALI 3 is going to bring to the table. Consistent character image generation. So when you generate an image and you really like that image, but you need additional images of different scenes or that character or landscape, you want it to be from a different perspective. The consistency with Midjourney, with Ideogram, with Leonardo, it's not there. It's close, but it's not there. DALI 3 aims to bridge that gap and wants to make that a reality, and it has shown it. In fact, I have seen multiple generations of a particular image, and I have seen the consistency that it has carried. It is very aligned and very accurate in terms of its consistency. So that is something that DALI 3 is going to bring to the table. And I personally was looking for that because I would generate an image and I would want it to be where, let's say, for example, a character in a different angle or doing a different action, and finding that the face of the character is gone or the outfit is different. So to have that same character in different images and it's consistent and it looks the same is something that leads to other professions. Think of comics, for example. If you created a superhero that was generated through one of these AIs and you wanted to make a plethora of images where that character is having different actions, you want the character to remain the same. If it's not the same, you're struggling. You're tweaking the prompt, you're changing it, you're retrying the same prompt. And sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. That's gone. With DALI 3, that's gone. My opinion, and I can tell you this because of the text aspect of it, the fact that text is also accurate. I think that a lot of people who are in the business of logo creation, I think a lot of people who are in the business of creating comics or creating art for books and for magazines and you name it, they're having a run for their money now. With DALI 3, I can tell you the die is cast and there is no turning back. If you happen to be in these professions where art is part of your workflow, where you are the one in control of creating these artworks, within a few months, it's going to be necessary to adapt. It's going to be necessary to adapt and incorporate these tools because the people who are in these professions of creating art in the visual perspective, the ones that don't adapt will not survive. this is a tool set that is so powerful. So many people will use this. Not just people, companies, organizations. It's going to make a titanic shake in the industry of art. And a lot of people who are in this profession, I understand. They're working and they're focused on creating excellent work. But we're in a different era. We're in an era where there are technologies that leverage this kind of creation, and those who use those tool sets will have the benefits. Because in my hands, I can create things, but in the hands of an artist, they can make excellent works. And that is the correct viewpoint to have. I have friends who are artists, and they're frankly angry at the fact that these technologies can do such excellent work. And and some of them are even in protest. But the reality is, in the same way that the washing machine eliminated the jobs of those who cleaned clothing for their city, artists have to understand that the times are changing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. What you said really makes sense, because adaptability is the reason why us humans are ruling the world. And I think it is really necessary for even the artists to adapt, because as you said, if just being an artist won't be of great importance in upcoming future, but being an artist who knows how to operate AI, then we are talking. That would be a really interesting skill set to have. But just to give you an analogy about it, when the computers were introduced, everybody said that the accountants will be out of job. There will
Correct.
be nothing as accountant. All the finance guys will be out of job. Is it? No, it is not. Now
Not
we
yet.
have, not yet. Now we have finance guys trained with computer software who
Exactly.
can do amazing stuff with the help of computer.
Exactly.
So I think it will be the same with the AI. Artists wouldn't be, let's absolute to say, but they will need to evolve.
They will need to change their methods of creation. And I think that the best way of changing their methods of creation is through leveraging the technologies that are in place.
Yeah.
I think that is a fantastic way to add to your repertoire of skill sets.
And anyway, the canvas of 21st century is the digital media.
Yeah.
So if your canvas has changed, you need to change your painting style.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm amazed that DALI has developed to the point where it's integrated with ChatGPT, and that ChatGPT becomes the function of creating the correct prompt for the image that you want seamlessly, where you type in a short phrase. I want to see a goldfish in a bowl in a background that is pink and there's balloons in the air. The fact that ChatGPT would be able to create the prompt that would lead to an accurate result, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal, and I think that artists everywhere need to pay attention and need to start making the changes necessary so that they can take advantage as opposed to being threatened. Don't you agree?
Yes, I do. And another thing which is really interesting to point out, with this integration, like we have been talking about DALI, but if we take the perspective towards ChatGPT, ChatGPT has now incorporated DALI, and soon it will be incorporating other AIs.
Exactly.
And
That's something for another video.
yes, that is something
We'll
about
talk about
another-
that soon.
But I have a question, interesting question. how far is ChatGPT from Google? Right now, Google has the edge because for obvious reason, but soon now you see even the image generation is incorporated.
For image generation, okay, let me tell you how I think our viewers can benefit from the image generation capacities that are currently here, but also coming out in October. So, companies need brands, companies need images for their promotional materials. Maybe you have a comic that you want to develop as a hobby, or maybe you want to make it go mainstream. Maybe you have a children's book and you want the images for that children's book, or for a novel. Maybe you want to fill your living room with artwork that is of your own mind, that comes from your own thinking, your own imagination. That time is here. That time is now. And I'm super excited knowing that the power of art in this capacity is going to the masses. This is actually in alignment with OpenAI. OpenAI's whole purpose of existing is to open the doorways of artificial intelligence for the masses. So the fact that it's had such a major update, which I honestly applaud OpenAI for doing it, they're doing it very well, because not only are they competing with Midjourney, Leonardo, and Ideogram, but they're surpassing them in terms of their functionality. I'm hoping that's going to spur more competition for the purposes of getting Midjourney and all of these other AIs that are for image generation on board with improving their features, because the more competition in this, the better functionality we're going to get overall. But exciting stuff. Now, RP, there was a point you wanted to touch upon.
That point basically was, you see how art image generation AI is progressing, right? And another thing is how hollow is social media posting. Everybody's posting their photo, even they don't really mean the sense of it.
Right,
It's
meaningless selfies.
Yes, if somebody's posting by the beach and saying they are really enjoying the vibe, but it is not the real case.
They're just in their house,
They are just in their house
eating
they
pizza.
just clicked the photo and posted it, some stuff like that.
Sure.
So that kind of stuff, wouldn't it be really easy to achieve if you are using an image generation AI?
It probably is, but at the same time, I think that falls upon the individual to either be authentic or not. And maybe it'll be utilized in that way, and some people will do it, maybe others don't. But what I really, the core aspect of what I think this is going to do is to employment and business overall. I think that this is going to be a tectonic shift in the art industry. And just to give you an example, if you take any cartoon that exists, any anime, it all boils down to one thing: art. Anime, cartoons, they work on still images that happen frame by frame. When you have an AI that has character consistency, you can create, with images, an animated film.
Yes.
This is massive in terms of its implications. And I think that there are people that don't even know how to draw. They don't even know how to create anything that's art related on a 2D surface, that are going to use these tools and absolutely crush it because they're good at creating stories and creating characters. And they're going to create other industries that are going to rival the ones that we're familiar with, like, for example, Marvel Comics or DC Comics. These have been bread and butter comics that everybody knows and everybody watches. But the question that I have to ask is, should we? I don't think so. I think that DC and Marvel have run their course, so to speak. I think that it's time for something new. And I think that these technologies are going to open up the doorways for that to happen. And that is something that I'm excited about. I think that knowing that there is the possibility that new stories, new characters are going to be created from AI, from other people, is interesting to me. And I'm curious to know what's going to come out. Because frankly, I'm tired of the Hulk. I'm tired of Thor. I'm tired of Batman. I want something fresh, something new. These technologies are going to create that and more.
Yeah, I think it is really interesting, and the thing you said that it will how easy it is for us to just search on ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT suggest me a new superhero which has some superhero's power which has been never heard about,
Yes.
and then since even the DALI is integrated in it, and maybe in near future you could say, okay, now make me interesting comics about it. And that comic will be interesting because the AI will generate the comic based on the point in the which the viewers like, the audience like. It is not about art and how the art is developed, but rather than it is targeting
The
audience. It
correct.
is audience oriented art.
Yes.
I think my personal belief, art will come out no matter what. Even when we never had brush and stuff, we were painting stone walls.
Sure.
Now we have, as I mentioned before, digital canvas. We will paint something on it. Art is the, like, if humans are there, a developed society is there, art will come out. So the thing why I say that it is a mixed thing is because the development of new artwork is generated by AI. AI does not have art in mind. Like what is art? It is the reflection of society, right? More or less.
Sure.
More or less.
The reflection of the human,
Reflection of
human being.
Human being. If it is a poet, he's describing what all is going on around him, like description of human. But
Sure.
the point that the art is generated by an artificial intelligence, which is not, it is an artificial intelligence, right? It is not human intelligence.
It's the closest thing to an artificial intelligence that we've been able to develop.
Yes, it is the closest thing. It is developed, so when that particular, let's say, comic or movie or a video is developed to please the audience, because what I wrote in the text box is make me a video which would really please the audience and which would be loved by many people.
But that's not the part where I think this is really going to take off in terms of the Cambrian explosion of image generation. It's when these tools are finally in the hands of capable crafters of excellent stories. When it's in the hands of people who are able to craft amazing, immersive stories, and the author or the creator of these stories is able to, with his own writing, craft amazing imageries to match those amazing stories, we will have captivating novels with imagery. We will have captivating comics with imagery. This will lead to then having motion pictures where I don't have to hear about Marvel Comics or DC or Star Wars. There will be new genres that will be equally as interesting or more interesting because they come from a deeper part of society. It comes from the artists and not necessarily mainstream media. And this is important because we need something fresh in Hollywood. We need something fresh in terms of mainstream. And this will be the doorway to that fresh start.
Okay, so my question to that is how you are absolutely correct. We need something new, and I totally agree to it. But how morally correct it is to rely on AI for a new artwork for which the definition of art is reflection of human society, not anything else, not like reflection of anything else. Reflection of human society as we perceive it. Even if a poem is about nature, poem is art, right? If a poem is about nature, it is about how we as a human perceive it, right?
Let me tell you something interesting just to touch upon what you just mentioned. A poem. Imagine if a poet that writes an amazing poem also has the capacity to generate an image that most closely aligns with that poem.
Okay.
Never in human history have we had that capacity where we can get a glimmer of the poet's perspective over his own poem in a visually based medium.
Okay.
That is amazing.
Okay, let me ask you another follow-up question on this. What makes a poet? How can you say that this guy is poet and this is not?
A poet that has any value or any worth as a poet has a deep connection to the most human roots of who we are as a species. Our most human elements are expressed in poetry.
Expressed. So one who can express.
I'll explain. If you have AI that can generate images and you happen to be a poet, you can have thousands of generations of images until you find the one that most reflects the message of your poem. So you're using AI in the same way that you're using a brush, but you're using it in such an advanced way that only poets of any time period would probably assassinate people for the capacity that poets today would have.
Yeah, but I still think that if we take the example of poetry, I think poetry is something which is reflection of society, as we discussed and agreed on, and I think it should still come out from a human element.
But it is coming from a human element.
Yeah, but
the AI reflects what the human wants. So if I, as a person, do not like what the AI is generating for me, I will regenerate it and I will regenerate it until I get what I want. If I don't get what I want, I will go somewhere else to get what I want. And if no other AI exists, I will then go to an artist. But what I'm trying to say, RP, is that this technology is close to excellent right now. What is it going to be in 6 months' time, in a year's time, in 5 years' time? In 5 years' time, you're going to write 10 words and it's going to generate 10 versions that are as excellent as possible. And you're not going to know which one is better because the options are so excellent,
and
which is a quality problem.
yeah, and right now the data which is like being treated as input is just your prompt. Imagine that at one point of time it is also considering your search history, also considering your behavior. If you have heard about behavior analytics, that is like the prediction of how will you behave as a customer. So incorporating these factors as well into the model, I think eventually in maybe let's say a year of time, you would get something which is, you won't even know that you wanted something. And it is right there.
We'll get to that point. And I'm going to say something. For people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, innovators, consider this technology for your business or for your future business, because the opportunities present within these technologies are incredibly impressive. And I think it would be a disservice to discount them. I mean, look, guys, let me tell you something. You've seen our thumbnails. We used AI to make them, and they did a pretty good job. And it surprised me, who knew about these LLMs, because when we used Midjourney for the backpack one, RP's face was looking a little bit Caucasian and he told me, we cannot use this picture. It's not going to happen, okay? And I had to go back and say, what can I do to make the image look more like him? And then I found another AI software. The AI that we were using that actually integrated RP's face onto the image of the guy with the backpack was called Insight Face AI. And we took a picture of RP, we added it to Midjourney, we added it to Insight Face, and it matched it perfectly. And the fact that it did that surprised me because the results were pretty good. This is where we are currently, where we can make images that are frankly amazing. And all it takes is just a few lines of text to do, to personalize it. Like I said, I'm super excited about this. And I highly recommend that artists, business owners, entrepreneurs, innovators really consider using these technologies, because the more people that use it, the more people that create with it, the more benefit we'll get from it. What do you think, RP?
Yeah, and I think there is no, as we were talking about advertisement, logo designing, these things are expensive in US. These doesn't come cheap.
My girl wants to make a book for children, and where is she going to get her artwork from, right? We already know where we're going to get it from.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It's just too easy now. Whereas we would have to go maybe on Fiverr, or we would have to contact an animator, and that would cost what? Maybe a couple $1,000s? We could do it for free now, or for close to free. $15 a month with Midjourney. DALI, which is ChatGPT basically integrated, is $20 a month. So I think the time is now.
Yeah, I think that you don't need to go anywhere, spend money unnecessarily. You can spend your time into a more valuable thing that your business requires at the time, rather than worrying about this. And if any point of time you want to make an advertisement and make maybe a nice logo or promo or something,
Promotional
some
material.
promotional material design, you don't need to waste your time digging too much about it, because advertisement is one of the
It's a
main
big thing.
aspect.
It's a big thing. If I wanted to create an ad for a product that I was selling, the fact that ChatGPT Ideogram can create an image of that product in an attractive way and include text, I don't need anyone to edit it if the AI can do it accurately. And then generate a bunch of advertisements for me so that I can swap the different advertisements on the different platforms that let me advertise. That right there is so much time that I'm saving. I've crafted advertisements. I know that they're time intensive. So if you can do them in seconds or in minutes, that's amazing. Anyways, guys, we're going to be talking about movie AIs and video AIs in the next chapter. Please follow us. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe.